first 2019 meeting of Biohackers Los Angeles. My name is Elias Serjan. I'm the organizer of Biohackers LA. I've only met a couple of you before, so by show of hands, how many people are at their first Biohackers meetup? Right, so a lot of new people here today. So thank you for coming. We're really lucky. We partnered this one with Peak Brain LA. That's where we are. They also promoted it to their meetup group. If you're not familiar, Biohackers Los Angeles is actually part of a global collective. There's biohackers groups all over the world. So I sometimes been talking to my fellow organizers in Berlin and in New Zealand and all over the world. And we actually in LA are one of the largest chapters at over 600 people. So we're a pretty big group. We're really lucky that we're able to find such a great speaker who happened to be passing through town at this time. So I know a lot of you have been following Siim and are here specifically for him. But I also want to let you know that is what we do for the Biohackers group. All our events are free. We're a community-based group. I'm a volunteer organizer, and so I work to put together these events to just spread the world of biohacking with the community. So we're really there just to grow events. We're going to do an event next month where I'm going to do an interview. Wesley over here is going to start helping me with some organizing because it's getting big. We're going to have a big year. And we're going to interview the gentleman. We're going to speak with him about wearables and biomarker testing through, he's the founder of a company called BioStrap, if you've started to hear about them, sort of in the wearable space. So we're going to do that event next month. Then I've asked Dr. Hill to do something kind of interesting with us for March. He's going to do a live brain mapping of me in front of you live. So we're going to put on the cap, he's going to test my brain, he's going to show you guys what's actually happening inside my brain on the screen. We'll find something. Yeah. So that should be interesting. So that's what we're going to do in March. We also have, if we're not doing these talks, that's called an immersion, when we go inside a space and we learn what they actually do. So we have three types of events. We have talks, like what we're doing today. We have immersions, where we go to a facility and we see what they do in terms of biohacking and kind of get into the science and dig in. Those are a little more science-like intense. And then we also do socials, where we might just gather together in a cafe and just sort of meet your fellow biohackers and share best practices. So we're going to have those three types of events going on this year. So is anyone here not on the meetup, our meetup, by any chance? I think all of you found us, so one or two people. If you haven't, we have postcards going around. Just look up Biohackers LA on Meetup on the app, and you'll be connected to all our events, and they're free. Also, too, if you didn't sign in, we got some things that we're going to be giving away. I'm going to give away something from my company. My company's called Business Brain, so I love the brain stuff. And we're here at Peak Brain. And if you don't know already, Dr. Andrew Hill is a real pioneer in making sort of the brain mapping much more accessible to people. And he's got a whole series of centers that he's been developing, and we're at one of them. So I'm going to turn it over to the man himself to just give us a little bit of an idea of what they're doing here. So Andrew, please.
Thank you, sir. So welcome to Peak Brain. Those of you organized, some of you folks who've been here before. But for those of you who haven't, we are a brain training center. We mostly do something called neurofeedback, or biofeedback on your brain. And we typically address all kinds of things from severe problems through human performance and peak performance things, so great for biohackers. And we're different than most neurofeedback shops in that we treat it more like a gym and less like a doctor's office. So for instance, we only ever charge one fee for brain mapping the first time, and repeats are always included if you can come to a center for the rest of your life. We actually have these little sign-up sheets. We're running a special. Normally our first brain map's $1,200, but for you guys it's only $300. If you put your name on this sheet, or if you have one of the little blue cards floating around, we'll honor a $300. So 75% off the brain mapping price. It's a one-off fee, so you can do it repeatedly with your best nootropics on board, or on and off caffeine, or after you come off the Burning Man, or whatever. So we've done some really interesting brain maps. You'll see me on TV a few times this spring doing brain maps on celebrities too, not just this guy. Brain mapping and neurofeedback, what we do during the day, and then in the evenings we have free classes. We have several mindfulness groups that are completely free. For kids on Saturday afternoons, for adults Sundays at 5, Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30. Just feel free to come and sit down. There's nothing to believe, no incense, no chanting, just basic technique with great, highly skilled and trained teachers. And then we also host some of the UCLA mindfulness training programs here, which are paid for teachers. So let us know if you have any questions, but most of our activities are in the evening. They're completely without charge. We want you to come and plug into healthy brain habits and develop some connection with other communities of people who are doing things to take control of their brain health. So that's the end of the peak brain spiel, but I'm happy to answer questions afterwards if you guys have them.
Yeah, great. So we're gonna have. Give Andrew a round of applause. He's and there's a couple other people here who work here who I think also either doing the work with the neurofeedback. So they're also very smart people working with all of that neuroscience-based work.
Yeah, if you work, to raise your hands so people can know who to ask questions.
Yes.
So we have Lacey in one of the small rooms, Jessica sitting down, Abby in the back.
Right.
Janetta's over here. She does some kids mindfulness for us. That might be it for employees in the room.
Okay. So we're a pretty amazing team here, and we're really fortunate that we're willing to host us as well. Once we saw the RSVP sort of going up, we were like, oh geez, we have to rent chairs, we have to, because we're going to pack the place. Because obviously our speaker has a following. In fact, we're really lucky that, and fortunately one of our fellow biohackers, we're real community-based, Rich over there, this person put me in touch with Siim to make this all possible as well. So we found that he was passing through town. We obviously wanted to bring him in to do a talk for us. If you're not already familiar with him from his work on YouTube and online, he has a lot of followers online, big YouTuber, 50,000 subscribers, millions of views on YouTube. Because he's talking about something that everyone's really interested in, is how to be really healthy, how to biohack your body, how to keep yourself healthy. The big thing in biohacking, kind of a lot of people's entry point, I think, into biohacking recently is coming through intermittent fasting. And that's usually where people start. They hear, yeah, I hear people getting these great results intermittent fasting. How does that work? What do I do? How do I participate? And so our speaker has taken that, all the way and really knows this world. Everything from I think he also did some early work in keto, some early books, ebooks, and talks on keto diet. So all of that information he's a specialist in, and has got this amazing book that is like quite a book. I mean, look at this thing, right? But if you flip through it, you see that the science is here. And that's the thing that's really amazing about biohacking is we're all science-based. What Andrew does, what I do, what Siim does, we all are really doing things based on science to empower you to have better and more fulfilling lives and achieve peak performance, whatever that means for you. So we're really excited to have you here today. Really excited to have this speaker all the way from Estonia, and he's willing to come here and just volunteer his time to give us all this talk. So please give a big round of applause for Siim Land.
Thanks, Andrew and the Biohacker Meetup as well for kind of setting it all together. So I'm really excited to share some knowledge with you people. And yeah, like you mentioned, this is my kind of upcoming new book, and you can simply flip through it during the speech because the entire lecture is going to be kind of giving a huge overview of this book entirely. So you can skip through it as we go through the lecture. But basically, yeah, my talk is titled Metabolic Autophagy, and that's the title of the book. What it means and how does it, what kind of areas it covers, we'll be covering in the next few slides. But before that, a little bit about myself as well. Like I am an author, blogger, YouTube podcasts. My podcast is Body Mind Empowerment, and in addition to that, I also do speaking, coaching. I don't have like a degree in like exercise science or nutrition or anything like that, but I do have like a bachelor's in anthropology. So that's kind of my only credential in terms of some. Other than that, I'm mostly like self-educated and self-taught. And the topics I do cover include maybe like biohacking and whatever it kind of means to some other people, but in general, biohacking, optimizing the human body, and that's why it's called like body mind empowerment as well. And if I were to kind of sum it up in just one slide, how do I sum up the entire concept of metabolic autophagy? Then it would include like 4 steps. First of it is you fast, second, you train, third, you eat, and fourth, you recycle it. And you cycle the entire cycle, the entire process, but you also cycle like the different methods you're doing. Like you cycle your training, you cycle your food, you cycle your fasting, and keep it in a constant motion, so to say. Because life itself is never stagnant, it's never set in stone, and you can never kind of expect to, okay, I'm going to go on this one diet, so I'm going to stay for the rest of my life. But in reality, the conditions of the body change and the needs change as well. So you have to kind of take that into account and be like, kind of be mindful of that change is inevitable and you have to adapt to it. So this is a good kind of overview of of the entire book. So we can now go home. But there's definitely like a lot of nuance and definitely a lot of detail that has to be taken into account. So we'll get to it in a minute.
Is it working?
Before I carry on, I have to cover some physiology of how the body prioritizes its nutrients, or how does the energy metabolism works. And essentially, every kind of biochemical reaction that occurs inside your body is governed under the term of metabolism. Everything that you consume, every kind of reaction that happens, it is like called the metabolism. And the metabolism is divided into two subcategories. One of them being anabolism, which means growing, building up, and the other being metabolism, which is breaking down and degrading. So they're constantly, these things are like the yin and yang of your metabolism. They're always balancing each other out, and they're supposed to make your body prioritize certain metabolic processes. Am I going to grow? Am I going to accumulate energy? Or am I in some sort of environment where energy is scarce and I need to be more conservative? I need to not waste it. So if I am like starving in the jungle, then I will be more catabolic because there isn't like excess nutrients. But if I'm like, I'm in LA with plenty of food around me and I'm eating all the time, then I'm going to be more anabolic because I'm consuming more energy, and that's going to send a signal to my body that, okay, we have the green light to grow, so that we have plenty of energy and we don't have to be that conservative. And these things, they're constantly being cycled throughout the 24-hour period as well. If you're fasting, you're like sleeping, then you're being catabolic and you're breaking down the foods that you consume during the day. And when you're eating, then you're switching over into the anabolic side. You're gonna use the fuel that you eat. But if you're being catabolic, then you're gonna use the fuel that your body has, mainly like your body fat and other energy sources. And in terms of like, why do I kind of show this slide was that when we're doing some sort of a biohacking and when we're kind of trying to optimize our diet, then it's always kind of, there's sort of a dichotomy because you can't never have them, two of these actively concurrently. They can't coexist at the same time. You can't grow and break down at the same time. They're happening back and forth, and they're being balanced. And the problem is that in terms of like longevity as well as performance, then they're not always promoting each other either, so to say. If you're being anabolic all the time, you're growing all the time, then that's not necessarily going to be good for longevity because you're going to get fat. You're going to promote some sort of unwanted growth in your body, like some cancer cells or whatever it is, and that's going to be like it has a negative side effect on your longevity. And on the flip side, being catabolic and breaking down, it also has like a benefit for longevity in a sense, because you're going to help to mobilize the body's own fuel sources, and that's going to have like a pro-longevity effect. So that's why, in terms of the idea of metabolic autophagy, it goes back into trying to find a balance between those things. How do I gain both of the positive as well? How do I get the positive benefits of both while negating the negative side effects, so to say? And there is a lot of positive benefits to being slightly more catabolic and being deprived of energy. You would think that if I consume as much energy as I can, then it's going to be good for your longevity and whatever I want to accomplish. But that's not, like I mentioned earlier, it's not going to be the case. So one of the few known ways of promoting the longevity and general health is caloric restriction, like not consuming that many calories and going into this catabolic mode with your body and allowing these other metabolic processes to occur. And there are quite a few of these metabolic pathways that happen if you are slightly deprived of energy. You don't have access to the food all the time. And one of the most common, most known ones are these sirtuins, which are like a family of proteins that govern energy metabolism, and they get activated under energy deprivation, like fasting, not consuming calories, and exercising. And across all species, it has been shown to have like a quite a significant impact on longevity and increasing lifespan and reversing many of the diseases. So there aren't like a lot of studies in humans, but you can probably predict that the same effects occur in humans as well. Now I'm gonna show like quite a technical slide, which may seem intimidating at first, but it's actually quite simple to understand. And this is the protein kinase triad, which is you can think of it as the triad or a triangle or a pyramid that regulates the processes of anabolism and catabolism. So your body is always detecting what kind of a nutritional environment it is in. Like the cells are kind of this collective consciousness around your cells that is detecting, okay, what kind of energy substrates are in the bloodstream and what kind of metabolic processes are happening. So there are different sensors inside the body that detect that energy. And the most important sensor probably for that is called mammalian target of rapamycin, or mTOR. So mTOR is the main anabolic switch of the body. So if mTOR is elevated, then your body's going to grow. It's going to give the green light. Okay, we have enough energy, and we can grow. The opposite to mTOR, or the opposite to anabolism, is AMPK, AMP-activated protein kinase. So AMPK gets activated when you're being catabolic, when you don't have energy. So these two are, again, the yin and yang. They're balancing each other out. They can't coexist, but they get expressed based upon what kind of a nutritional environment your body is in and how did the cell detect it, and these sensors. And mTOR gets activated mostly by things that promote anabolism, things that make you grow. And these things are most commonly like amino acids, which are as well as proteins, and carbohydrates and glucose. Those two things are the most biggest nutritional factors that activate mTOR. There are many other things that can also affect it, like insulin and IGF-1, but these are the most important ones. And on the opposite, if your body is deprived of amino acids and glucose and it has like lower levels of insulin, then it's going to have like elevated AMPK, like low energy, high AMPK, high energy, high mTOR. And whenever mTOR is low, when you're being more catabolic, then that allows the process of autophagy to occur as well. If mTOR is low, then you have the potential to go into autophagy, which is, we're going to talk about it, what it is in a moment. But yeah, again, like if it's energy deprived, then it can go into like a deeper catabolic mode, and it can start to mobilize its own backup stores inside the body. So what is autophagy? Autophagy translates from Greek into self-eating, or eating of self. And it basically is this process where your healthy cells, they start to break down the old and dysfunctional cells and recycle them back into energy. So it's literally like the healthy cells inside your body, they're gonna start searching out the cancers, the tumors, they're gonna break them down, destroy them and convert them back into energy. So that's gonna promote this cellular survival under nutritional stressors, and it's a very good thing for promoting general health and longevity. So there are many benefits to autophagy, like reduced inflammation, stronger immune system, anti-aging, anti-cancer, anti-tumors. It's going to eliminate a lot of pathogens and recycles the old cells and heal a lot of the diseases. So the process of autophagy was also described by this Japanese researcher named Yoshimi. I'm not sure. I'm going to blank on his name right now, but some Japanese guy. he got a Nobel Prize in 2013 for the discoveries of autophagy in yeast. So it happens. It happens in other species. It happens in humans as well, and it has like quite good benefits on longevity. And it's actually quite a critical component of longevity. And for instance, like I said earlier, that caloric restriction and being deprived of energy is one of the few known ways of promoting lifespan, then autophagy is actually like a central part of that. Because if you take some mice and you genetically kind of modify them in a way that blocks the process of autophagy from occurring, then those mice, they won't live longer even when they are starved and they're not put under caloric restriction. Whereas on the other hand, the mice that do have, like the normal healthy mice that have autophagy activated, they will live longer when put under caloric restriction. So the idea of there's some sort of the autophagy process is helping to clear out the cells and keeping it clean and recycling them. That's the kind of part that helps the organism to live longer and be healthier. So how do you activate autophagy? Well, the best ways and the easiest ways is to simply fast and not eat anything, because whenever you are fasting, then you're depriving your body from all those nutrients, like the amino acids, the glucose, everything, and that's going to send the signal of low mTOR or high AMPK, and we're in the situation we don't have food, and therefore we have to use the energy that we have, and that's going to, it literally resembles the recycling and taking out the trash, so to say. There are other ways as well of promoting autophagy, like exercise. That's also sending the exact same signal to your body, and consuming fewer calories and low carbohydrate diets. They tend to have like also somewhat of a more pro-autophagic effect, because your body has less energy to burn through. In a sense, it can go into the catabolic state faster. And there are other like autophagy boosting foods as well that can mimic this process to a certain extent, like let's say turmeric and ginger and ginseng and such. So that's why, like, I believe like fasting and intermittent fasting is one of the best ways of promoting general well-being and general health, because you literally like it's so easy. You don't do anything, and you're gaining so many of these longevity boosting benefits and going into a deeper state of autophagy. And if you compare it with the traditional way of eating, like 3 square meals a day, or like even people who eat very frequently with snacks and such, then it goes to show that intermittent fasting is probably much more effective for any kind of a diet, just because of the fact that if you are fasting, then you're going to be spending more time in this autophagic state, so to say. And in this image, you can see like the traditional 3 meals. When you break your fast in the morning, you have breakfast maybe in the early morning, then you're already going to go into the anabolic mode, so to say. You're consuming food, and your body then goes into the mode where it's going to burn through the food that you ate, and it's not going to have autophagy, because we don't need to go autophagy. We don't have the requirements for catabolism, so to say. We have plenty of nutrients around, and you may go into like a mild energy deprivation before lunch, but usually most people will then have lunch again, and it's going to repeat itself at dinner. And the only time they may experience the benefits of autophagy happens when they're sleeping at night, but it's only like a few hours. That's not going to be, like, in my opinion at least, that's not going to be optimal. You definitely need to be spending more time in at least like a semi-fasted state, just to go into deeper autophagy, just to clear out the cells and to conduct like more better self clearance to keep yourself healthier long term. And if you simply like skip 1 meal, you do this fasting regimen called the 16 and 8, which basically entails that you skip breakfast and have like only lunch and dinner, then already you're going to gain a significant increase in autophagy during the day, because like you don't have this limiting factor in the morning that's gonna blunt the effects of autophagy from kicking in. You're gonna leverage the benefits of the fasted state already that you gained from the night before, and they're gonna keep leveraging it until lunchtime, and then you have like only 2 meals. And you consume maybe your food within 8 hours. You can even consume the same amount of calories, but you're gonna gain like a more significant benefit on autophagy because of the time constricted manner. And you don't even have to restrict your calories that much to gain the benefits of autophagy. And taking it a bit further, just eating only once a day, or doing like the warrior diet thing, which is like fasting for 20 hours and eating food within maybe like a few hours, that's like a step further, in a sense that you're going to still spend more time in a fasted state during the day, and whenever you do eat, you're you're gonna do it only like very briefly, and then you're gonna go back into like a fasting faster. So that's what I personally do most of the time, and it's quite sustainable and a really easy way of eating. Like you don't really feel hunger, you don't really feel any cravings. You have like mental clarity all day, and it's an enjoyable way of eating, in my opinion. And it's a good kind of bridging point between gaining the benefits of caloric restriction without necessarily going into caloric restriction. Because fasting itself is still much more effective for triggering autophagy than trying to restrict the calories, because you're fasting and you're not eating anything. But at the same time, the autophagy also has like negative side effects, a few of them. Too much autophagy is still bad, because it is a catabolic state. It is the idea of you're breaking down your cells, and like anything in excess can be detrimental. And there's if autophagy is taken too far, then it can lead to some muscle loss. It can lead to some other ailments. So you have to always take it at the right dose, and you never want to overdo it. You never want to go too catabolic all the time. And the same is with the inadequacies. You don't want to be inadequate in autophagy, definitely. So let's say the standard 3 meals a day is definitely in this side, where it's like too little autophagy, not enough autophagy. And maybe fasting for like 2 weeks in a row, or not eating anything for a month, that's gonna be too much autophagy, because you're gonna end up losing the muscle. The longest recorded fast was like 365 days or 385 days or something like that, over a year. And the guy lost like, how much, like 250 pounds or something, so yeah. And it goes to show like your body has the energy, like your body fat, these calories you carry around, it's food, but you don't get access to it unless you like practice fasting, and unless you condition your body to use fat as a fuel source. It was in the 80s, I think, somewhere around. I'm not sure why. Yeah, it's in the book as well. There's like a picture of his transformation somewhere in the beginning. So yeah, the idea is that you want to have the optimal dose of autophagy, which in my opinion can be achieved with intermittent fasting, like time restricted eating every day. Either the 16 and 8 or the warrior diet. Like that's somewhere in the middle. Because the problem is that as you get older, then you're also going to naturally start to lose a bit of your lean muscle mass. And most of it has to do with like sedentary lifestyle, but part of it has to do with also like becoming less anabolic on a hormonal level. You're going to lose your sensitivity to build muscle as you get older, because you get older. And generally the trend starts to occur maybe in the 40s or something. That's when the biggest shift starts to trend downward. You start to lose gradually more and more muscle mass after 40s. So for like, muscle mass for longevity is also quite critical, because let's say muscle is like a huge endocrine organ, and it has like many health benefits. Like improves your insulin sensitivity, increases your glycogen storage. You can consume more food without getting fat, without gaining the metabolic ailments, and so to say, it's like a pension fund for your future healthy aging. And as well as like a lot of old people who they break their hip, they fall down the stairs or something, they get hospitalized, and that's where they really fast. They lose their cognitive abilities, they lose their it goes down the rails really fast if they become sedentary at their old age. That's why you want to have like quite a solid amount of muscle when you get older. And yeah, if you get older, you're gonna lose your muscle mass, you're gonna lose your strength, your bone density is gonna go down, your joints are gonna begin to hurt, your brain is gonna suffer from like natural cognitive decline. But all of it has to do with not following like an active lifestyle, not having enough exercise, not doing enough intermittent fasting or such, and not having enough muscle mass at all. So all of them can be alleviated, and definitely can be slowed down a lot if you practice these things that I talk about in the book. So how do you prevent that from happening? Resistance training is probably the best ways of promoting muscle as well as strength. So doing these compound lifts like squats, bench press, deadlifts, barbell rows, overhead press, pull-ups, those sort of things, they will make you build muscle, they will also slow down the negative effects of aging and the degeneration. So these are probably the best exercises for that. Like you don't, if you only did these exercises for the rest of your life, then it's gonna be pretty good. Like you don't need to do like very crazy, I don't know, some weird bicep curls or some lateral raises or something. These are the best. These are the biggest bang for your buck, so to say. Another technical slide that's going to talk about the other side of the coin of autophagy, which is mTOR. So like I said, mTOR is the flip or the switch that triggers on anabolism and it's going to make you grow. So mTOR is mostly activated by amino acids like leucine, which is one of the most anabolic amino acids, which is found in like eggs, whey protein, protein in general, like meat, and everything that has protein or that has leucine that will activate mTOR. And insulin and IGF-1 will also activate mTOR. So carbohydrate-rich foods and things like that. And AMPK is going to block mTOR. So if you are fasting, you're being calorically restricted, you're deprived of energy, then you won't be able to activate mTOR. You won't be able to build muscle while you're fasting because there's no nutrients around. There's no building blocks. But whenever you do eat, you will turn it on and activate it. And that's going to lead to muscle protein synthesis, which is the process of building new tissue and using the building blocks that you eat to grow bigger and build muscle. But with mTOR, as well like with autophagy, too much is also too bad. Too much mTOR, too much anabolism, too much growing will accelerate the aging process in a sense. And will also accelerate the growth of these cancer cells and such. So that's why it's not, in my opinion, it's not a good idea to be eating like 6 meals a day, like the mainstream fitness advice is telling people to, you have to, in the morning immediately, have some protein, have a frequent snacks all the time, all the way, and before going to bed, have some, another snack, just keep yourself from, preventing yourself from going to catabolic mode, which is like the opposite is actually like better. You want to be catabolic when you're sleeping, and you want to go into autophagy when you're sleeping, and you want to have like some periods of time when you're not eating, just to gain the benefits of the catabolic side and not be anabolic all the time. Because too much anabolism is not going to be that good for your longevity in the long term. But at the same time, like too little mTOR or too little anabolism is also bad, because you're going to lose your muscle, you're going to lose your insulin sensitivity, and you're going to predispose yourself to all these other ailments that may occur. So again, the answer is again somewhere in the middle. And the optimal dose is like finding a balance between your goals and what kind of a lifestyle you follow. So I would say like fasting and doing this sort of time-restricted eating every day, like the OMAD or 1 meal a day and the 16 and 8 type of fasting, that's like a perfect balance. You're gonna get all of the things that you want in terms of the nutrient signaling. You're gonna gain the autophagic benefits, and you're gonna gain the benefits of slightly lower mTOR. And whenever you do eat, you maybe like you would also want to like do resistance training, exercise, and whenever you do eat, you do activate mTOR, and you're gonna have the benefits, the positive benefits of mTOR, like maintaining muscle mass, promoting bone strength, and promoting insulin sensitivity. Those sort of things. You're gonna gain those benefits, and you're gonna go into the autophagic state faster as well. So it's like the perfect balance, in my opinion, of gaining the benefits of both of these things, like mTOR and autophagy. So what can you do while fasting? That's a common question as well. The main idea is that when you're fasting, then you shouldn't be consuming any calories, because if you have any calories, then it's gonna break the fasting state, and it's gonna send the body the signal of, okay, we don't need to trigger autophagy because we have calories around, we have energy. And but what you can do while fasting is just like black coffee and some herbal teas and some salt water. So using some salt is a good idea, because it helps to balance the electrolytes and still keep your minerals in check. And in terms of food, then you always want to prioritize nutrients over calories. And nutrient density is basically referring to the idea of how many micronutrients and minerals and vitamins and those sorts of things are inside food. and they're coming at a lower caloric cost. For example, a highly calorically dense food is things like butter, oils, donuts, these junk food. They have like a bunch of calories, but they don't have like virtually any nutrients at all. They don't have any vitamins, minerals. They don't help you to, build. They don't help you to build muscle either that much. So on the opposite hand, you have like nutrient-dense foods, such as spinach, some herbs, rosemary, liver, eggs, broccoli, fish, and meat and such. They have like more nutrients, but they have less calories. So you always want to be more on the side of nutrient density, and making sure that you don't over consume like empty calories that are not going to do you much good. And somewhere in the middle are things like nuts and fruits, and some dairy and cheese. Those sort of things there is like somewhere in the middle. They do have some nutrients, but they have like slightly more calories, but they're still healthy in a sense. They don't have like empty calories like some oils and butters. So the goal would be like eat more nutrient-dense foods with high satiety, and eat less nutrient-poor foods with low satiety, because these things satiate you quite fast. You can't like really overeat on broccoli or liver. You get really satiated because you get the nutrients really fast from fewer calories. Whereas on the other hand, you can eat like dozens and dozens of donuts and keep on eating them while still not feeling satiated, and while still not getting the nutrients, because your body craves those nutrients. Okay, I'm eating, but I'm not getting the nutrients that I need, so I have to keep on eating to kind of search for those nutrients. But on the other hand, I'm going to get the nutrients really fast. I'm going to feel okay, so I don't get the desire to continue eating. Yeah. And like whole foods, whether that be like paleo, keto, vegan, there's not going to be that much difference. The only breaching point, or let's say the only important factor is to avoid the processed food, in a sense, that hijack your brain and that they don't give you the satiety. And that's basically it. That covers the topic of metabolic autophagy, of how do you practice intermittent fasting, and how do you balance it with the other side of the coin, which would be like building muscle and maintaining that for longevity. So in the book, the book is going to come out in February the 10th, and you can get it on Amazon, on paperback, on Kindle, on audio version as well. So at the moment, I don't have it with me besides these 2 copies. But yeah, you can expect to learn more about these things, like specific diagrams about what kind of foods, different foods have like specific values in terms of the protein kinase triad. Like I literally have this chapter about the anabolic and catabolic value of certain foods, of like how do certain foods scale up on the mTOR scale. For instance, I can take a look at here that let's take eggs, chicken eggs. They are high in mTOR because they have like amino acids, they have protein, they have these other nutrients that make the body grow. And versus on the other hand, things like turmeric, they have lower mTOR. They're actually more autophagic stimulating, because they don't have like a bunch of protein and amino acids. They're more stimulating the AFPK pathway, making the body more catabolic, and that's going to be like the opposite each other. So in the book you can learn about how you like which type of foods should I eat for what kind of goals, and how do you balance them once a day. But that's basically it. Thanks for listening. Some people probably have some questions as well. I'm gonna answer them. Yeah, before I finish, I'm gonna answer some questions.
Yeah, I wanted to know if your book covers the topic of metabolism and maybe your DNA history. My background is from Lithuania.
Right.
I think there was a lot of famine in that country over hundreds of years, and my metabolism is like less than 0.
Sure.
It's like a DNA thing. Do you address that? How to manipulate it besides testing? Is that the only way to change it? Because
I don't cover the kind of DNA testing thing in the book, but I would say that if you do have like a slower metabolism, the best thing to do, the best thing to ramp it up, would be to build more muscle and do resistance training, because muscle increases your metabolic rate by default. It's like if you have more muscle, you're gonna burn more calories by default by doing nothing. You can literally sit in your bed, and your body will burn more calories because it has like muscle to feed. Versus on the other hand, if you were to do a lot of exercise, like cardio and such, that's not necessarily gonna increase your metabolic rate because you're already burning the calories during the exercise. Versus if you do resistance training, you do the exercise, you're gonna send the body the signal to build muscle, and when you do eat, you're resting, you're gonna build the muscle, and that's gonna by default increase the demands of energy for your body.
If you can't lift weights, how about NIR, saunas, FIR, anything like that? Would it be?
Yeah, like some infrared saunas can also be good
Okay.
for that, and regular heat saunas, those sort of things can also be good for promoting the same process of autophagy as well, while increasing your growth hormone and such. So
That was a great answer.
When you do the fast, and we know that when you do the fasting, the growth hormone increases in 1,200%, and we know that's a very good stimulus for the growth of the muscle. And how many times do you measure that muscle growth? Because maybe I'm doing a lot of intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting too. Where the more prolonged was 3 days and a half, you did 5 days, I saw. But when can I make a measure in body to see how much muscle I increase? Because immediately the day after or 2 days after, you see that the muscle go down. But I know that it will increase. How many times do you think is optimal?
It's like to see if you are building muscle, then you have to focus more on like the training, so to say. Like if your goal is to build more muscle, then I wouldn't go into like I wouldn't focus on the fasting, so to say. Fasting would be better for like the maintenance, keeping your cells healthy and keeping your body kind of youthful, while at the same time maybe accelerating fat loss and such, and doing time eating. If I were to focus on more muscle, lean mass, then I would try to look at the progressive overload of your training. Are you getting stronger? Are you getting better results at the gym and such? Those are going to be more indicative of muscle growth and such. And also like the scale, looking at how much do you weigh, and maybe looking at this at the mirror of estimating your body fat percentage. If you're getting leaner but you're getting heavier, then it's like lean muscle mass growth. But in terms of like what's the optimal dose for fasting and the muscle growth, then it's gonna depend on, again, like let's say if you're eating, it depends on like how much calories you consume during the eating window as well. Like you can still gain muscle eating once a day if you compensate for the catabolic period with enough anabolism, so to say. If you're fasting throughout the day, then and you're only going to eat maybe like within 1 to 2 hours, or let's say the 16 and 8 hours, then you want to make sure that those hours you do eat, they will be more mTOR stimulating, more anabolic, and they will have to include things that have the amino acids like eggs, meats, fish, and nuts, and the vegetables and such, that you would gain those nutrients when you're eating. Because if you're fasting and you're not eating the anabolic foods either, you're eating like not enough protein and such, then you're still not going to grow muscle, so to say. It has to be balanced out. You can still build muscle, like I said, once a day. I only eat once a day most of the time, and it can be achievable, but you have to make sure that when you do eat, it has to be quite stimulating of the mTOR, and the best foods for stimulating mTOR and anabolism are like eggs and meat, basically.
Can I add that answer though? If you're really interested in biomarker testing for body fat, if that's what you really want.
Yes.
If you're local, and actually I'll let you all know this, we did a body spec. I don't know if you guys know them here in Culver City. They have basically, I got my body scanned where they did the new scans that are really, basically, some people say that they're better than the buoyancy testing for body fat. So I'm looking at doing a deal for this group with them. I'm negotiating with the CEO right now. and so I'm going to try to get a deal. It's not the cheapest thing, but it's not outrageously expensive. The regular price is $45 to get the body scan. So if you want to get that done, just talk to me. I can tell you the company, but I'm looking at negotiating a group discount for us if we want to start going there. So if anyone is interested in that sort of biomarker testing, it's something that we're going to be promoting as part of this group. I'm going to use you guys as a leverage to try to get us deals. So if we decide that we want to do those things, or if you have something like that you want us to do, sorry to hijack this for a second, but just let me know, because I'm trying to negotiate that, because I have 600 biohackers in LA, and I can go to a business and say, hey, give us a deal, we want to use your space. So I'm looking at that. So just see me after, and I'll tell you more, okay?
Okay.
I've heard the argument made that the idea that growth hormone is up after fasting is because it's actually not being brought into the cells, and because it only lasts a few minutes, that's not really a fair conclusion that if it's elevated that you're getting more growth. I'm just curious what your opinion is.
Well, yeah, like, well, growth hormone itself isn't like an anabolic hormone. It's not gonna make you build muscle. It's more, growth hormone is like an anti-catabolic hormone. It's gonna prevent you from losing lean muscle mass. And when you are young, when you're like a child, you have like a lot of growth hormone because you're growing, and at the same time you don't want to be losing the muscle in a sense. And as you get older, you start to lose more. You have less growth hormone because of that. And fasting gets, when you're fasting, then the increase in growth hormone happens also because of the aspect of ketosis. So to say, you go into ketosis, and that's gonna prevent the body from losing its muscle tissue. So to say, a lot of people fear that they're gonna lose muscle while they're fasting, but in most cases that's not gonna happen, because if your body goes into ketosis and increases growth hormone, that's gonna prevent the loss of lean tissue, so to say. And yeah, that's like a. What was your question again?
I've heard it said many times that the growth hormone is elevated after you fast.
Right.
And so many people think that means you have a stimulus for growth, which actually makes sense. But some of the nerds in that area have said, well, it's actually because the growth hormone is not getting into the cell. And you're measuring this elevation, but it's not necessarily meaning that you're going to do what you said.
Right.
It just happens to not be utilized. It's underutilized
Right.
growth hormone. You can't make the conclusion that it's causing growth. Now, I do intermittent fasting, but I'm just curious.
I think it's, yeah, it may be true that it's not going to be inducive of growth necessarily, and I would say that it's going to depend on what you do eat afterwards, in a sense of how do you stimulate, or how do you leverage that pathway. In a sense, if you do fast, then you're going to be more sensitive towards growing, because your body is okay. We've been deprived of that energy for a while, and the food that we do eat, that will be utilized for repair and recovery. So in a sense, you would be more sensitive for growth in the post-feeding stage, but that's not guaranteed to happen if you don't get the nutrients, so to say. Like you said, like I mentioned to him, that if you don't have the mTOR stimulation, then you're not going to grow either, because there's not going to be any nutrients around. You're already depleted of the nutrients, and you're not getting them from the food, then it's not going to lead to growth either. But at the same time, if you do get the nutrients, your body is already like very sensitive to those nutrients because it's been deprived, and it has like the elevated growth hormone. Then if you were to eat, and you would get adequate nutrients like the amino acids and proteins, then I would imagine that would still lead to a bit of more growth, because your body is sensitive and you're getting the nutrients. Versus if you are sensitive to those nutrients, but you're not getting the nutrients, then you're not going to grow.
So it may prime you for the refeeding.
Yeah, exactly.
You may make it more sensitive.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one other question then?
Yeah.
Do you find that there's a formula? I hate to use the word formula, but maybe if you train while you're fasted, then some will say that you get that, that the drop or increase depending how you look at it. And then when you refeed sometime after, now you've kind of maximized the levels of growth hormone and testosterone, estrogen, whatever. Do you have any kind of a formula as far as training while fasting and the timing of refeeding?
It's gonna depend on like how long have you been fasting and what kind of a diet you follow in general.
Let's say 24 hours.
24 hours. If I were to go for something like that, then I would do it like usually if I were to train fasted, then I would train around maybe like the 20-hour mark or something, maybe train for an hour, and then I'll still fast for maybe like an hour or two at maximum post-workout to allow like the cortisol to drop a little bit, to allow insulin to lower as well, and when I would eat, the body would be more sensitive to those again, because you don't necessarily want to eat immediately after you exercise either, because it's going to blunt the elevation of growth hormone. Like when you're exercising, you're increasing growth hormone, and when you eat immediately after the exercise, then you're going to drop the growth hormone, because again, the body doesn't need to promote it. So yeah, the short fasting after the workout is still a good idea, for at least a few hours. But it's again like a point of diminishing returns in some cases. Like if you fast too long after the workout, then that can be potentially bad, that's not going to it's not going to give you the results if you want like growth. But if you want to still promote autophagy, then you can still fast after the workout, as long as you want, or as long as you feel it's necessary.
You kind of have to experiment with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It is experimentation in a sense. Like people eat different types of foods, they respond to them differently, and they follow like different lifestyle habits. So the main idea is that like I mentioned in the previous slides, that where is this gold medium? Where is this gold medium? That's like very context dependent, and it's going to change on these individuals a lot. Let's say someone who is doing bodybuilding, like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Jay Cutler or someone. For them, they want to be more mTOR stimulating because they want to build muscle, so to say. So the optimal range for them might be somewhat different. And for instance, someone who is coming from a concentration camp or something like that, then they may also want to have more mTOR because they're so deprived from it. So it's always context dependent.
So they say that if you do your intermittent fasting, then you do like a 3-day or 5-day fast. When you get to the 3 or 5-day fast with just water, it actually stimulates new growth in stem cells. Because of the time that like you're saying, you're not eating anything, which makes your other cells kind of shed and eat itself to actually activate the stem cells. Now, do you feel that charge of new growth of stem cells maybe in your body since you've been through all of this?
Yeah, like definitely. I would say that after coming through these, let's say, longer fasts, for instance, when I flew in here, I fasted for 3 days during the flights because like it's very convenient not to eat in the airplane and such. And the food is also quite crap. So like yeah, like you do feel like quite good after the fast, like the following days, like the energy is there, and even like for instance, you mentioned like the 5-day fast. Usually when I do those things, then after like 2 days afterwards, I build like quite a lot of muscle in a sense, or like have some sort of a sprouting effect in a sense that my body is quite sensitive to the foods and sensitive to the amino acids and such. And when I do eat, I'm gonna kind of go through a short burst of growth, like short term, but it's gonna drop off maybe after a while. But it's still, the effect is still there, and you do feel. Especially if during the fast itself, you also feel quite mentally clear and sharp. You don't feel hungry. You get you may get some hunger signals, but you could adapt to it quite fast, and you have this like different sort of mental sharpness and clarity. I like to call it like this sort of like a mixture of blissfulness and full-on adrenaline focus sort of thing. You're very clear, you're sharp, but at the same time you're really blissful and like really calm at the same time.
So I think we have time for maybe 3 more questions. I know this gentleman here, she's been here, and then maybe that gentleman there.
Yeah, so in a place like LA where a lot of us are living in cortisol dominance, how would you optimize the effects of cellular autophagy, but still optimizing your cortisol and not spiking it too much? Because they're the 2 things sometimes.
Well, I think.
What was the question?
How do you kind of make sure you don't stress yourself out in LA? Which is quite difficult.
Like what kind of like fasting strategy would you employ if you're still not trying to,
is a physiological stressor, and too much, like it's some people may experience some negative side effects from fasting, but it's not like the fasting itself. It's the other stressors in their life that simply get piled up, and fasting is simply like cherry on top of the cake, figuratively speaking. But like, yeah, you have to kind of look at the other lifestyle factors, look at what kind of things are simply causing me distractions and causing me unnecessary stress. And I would always still try to keep the fasting, at least in some aspects, but eliminate noise. At the same time, you can still, you don't necessarily have to fast for like days upon end to gain those benefits. You can still maybe expand the eating window, so to say. You can still do the 16 and 8 type of thing, or you can do it like shorter frame, like fasting for only 14 hours and eating in 10 hours or such. You can still do it in some way, but I would say like doing it in some aspects is pretty good. Just to have it there, and always being mindful of, okay, I'm having too many stressors around me, then I'm not gonna go for a fasted HIIT workout and not eating anything for 5 days after that as well. So it's a matter of balance at the same time, being mindful of these stresses in life and then knowing how to optimize it. But definitely things like meditation, mindfulness, those sort of things are still another one of those mandatory things, in my opinion, every person should practice in some aspect, just to keep their mind more resilient against stressors in the future. And maybe I would imagine that if you are feeling some more stress, then you can take a lot of like these adaptogenic herbs and medicinal mushrooms like chaga, ashwagandha, turmeric, those sort of things in the eating window, and it's gonna boost your resiliency against stress when you start to fast, so to say. So that's good.
Got one. Siim, thank you for coming. My question is around muscle. So I'm on the ketogenic diet and I do intermittent fasting, the 16-8 method. The question I have is, I've been having trouble gaining muscle. So is there a way to hack mTOR, nutrients, as well as sauna use to kind of increase the chemicals that you need when the food comes in to really grow muscle? And is there a way to cycle that over a few months if you're going to say, I want to gain muscle for 3 months, this is the number of pounds of muscle I want, and I can go back to normal maintenance mode. Have you found any kind of ways to, one, do that, and two, how do you track? It's very expensive to track IGF-1 inside your body, right? Even other markers, it's a $200 test with wellness effects. What have you found to be able to track some of those things personally?
Well, I would say that if you want to build muscle, then you need to have like several conditions. The most important ones are like adequate stimulus, which is you need to basically do resistance training, and you need to do like heavier resistance training as well, because it's more inducive of muscle growth usually in most cases, and you basically need to get stronger. Secondly, you need to have adequate protein. Increasing protein intake will help to create the new tissue through the protein synthesis, and that would entail maybe increasing your protein intake a little bit, and especially these anabolic foods, like I mentioned, eggs and meat are probably the best natural whole foods that will promote muscle growth. And yeah, like those, they have the nutrients, they have specifically like leucine, which will stimulate mTOR. And usually, I would imagine if you're doing the 16 and 8, then when I used to do the 16 and 8 a few years ago, then I would do it like, I would fast for 16 hours. I would have like a small meal at around noon, maybe 12 or something, like maybe 500 calories, like a small meal there, like that is lower in mTOR, and then I would train a few hours after that, and then I have like a bigger meal as dinner, and that would be like most of my calories would come from that. So like a small meal before training, train, and like a huge meal after the training, because your body is always more sensitive for muscle growth after the training, and if you pack on the calories from there, then it's going to be more directed towards muscle rather than fat gain. But if you were to be consuming most of the calories before training, then you're not going to be creating this sort of